Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from today. Thank you for joining us and for being here. I want to have wish everybody a fantastic Thursday and hope everybody's having a fantastic week. Just to make sure that you can see and hear us, please find the chat and let us know where you are joining us from today. Perhaps you'll find somebody in your community who also uses SEO ranking, and that way you'll be able to connect. While you are doing that, let me tell you that we have a really awesome workshop planned for you today, and we'll be diving into that in just a couple of moments. In case this is the first time you're joining one of our digital events, welcome. We hold our webinars, roundtables, workshops, and onboarding days to share some insightful and actionable information with the SEO community, help you make the most of our tools, and hopefully give you some takeaways that will help you increase the traffic to your website. Today, we'll be talking about driving local growth, SEO Ranking's next generation local marketing software tool. I see in the chat that we are good to go. People from all over the world, from Germany, from Macedonia, Colorado, UK. Great. Awesome. So yeah, the topic of today's event is about SEO Ranking's local marketing tool, and which was designed to specifically help you keep track of rankings on Google Maps in your local vicinity. But besides keeping track of local rankings, SEO Ranking also has the keyword rank tracker tool that allows you to track rankings globally wherever you want. And we also have our AI results tracker tool. So I just wanted to sort of touch on all of the ranking opportunities that we have, rank tracking opportunities that we have in SEO Ranking. Let me now switch over the slide and introduce you the speakers. I'm the host of today's event. My name is Andrew Zeruni. I'm part of the marketing team. And I want to introduce you to Maksym Blyzniuk, our customer success manager, who will be sharing the most information about the local marketing tool. He will be giving us the full breakdown of the tool. Maksym, thank you for taking the time to be here with us and share with the good people, give them a detailed overview of our local marketing tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Andrew. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, as always, happy to have you with us. And we are always joined at these events about our local marketing. So we are joined by the product manager, Borys Shchuko. Appreciate your time and being here, Borys.
Yeah, hi Andrew. Hi folks. Hi everyone.
Great. Before we get to the main part of the event, in case somebody does not use SEO Ranking enough, or maybe you just started, let me say a couple of more words about SEO Ranking. So we have powerful data-rich tools designed for digital agencies and in-house SEO professionals. And up on the screen, you can see the recognition that we received actually this month. It was the spring awards from G2. And this just goes to show that we are constantly working to make sure our tools provide the finest data and tools that you need to complete any task imaginable in SEO and marketing. Sort of to add on to what I just said, over the years, we've been around for more than a decade, and thanks to the feedback that you specifically have been giving us. So we are mostly driven by our users' feedback. Obviously, we do research to know what is up in SEO, but the main driving force is what specifically our clients need. So we've developed our tool set to include more than 30 different tools, from competitive research to backlink analysis, content creation, backlink monitoring. There's social media management, local marketing, like we're going to be looking at today. And we also know that accuracy is what it's all about in SEO. So if our tools don't provide accurate data, they don't mean anything in the world of SEO. And that is why we're constantly refining our data sets to make sure that you're getting the most accurate information we can provide. And like I said at the beginning, SEO Ranking was primarily designed for digital agencies and in-house SEO professionals. And we have loads of collaborative features to make sure that happens a lot smoother. So you can create different user seats, share reports with clients, managers. Everything goes very smoothly. All right. Let me switch over and talk about today's agenda. So we're going to be diving specifically into the local marketing tool, and you can see on the screen every different section that the local marketing tool has. So we're going to be diving into every one of them, and we will have a dedicated Q&A at the very end where we will address questions that we were not able to answer live. So before I give the floor to Maksym, who's going to be sharing, giving us a breakdown of the local marketing tool and all of its updates that we have to date. Our product manager wants to say a couple of words just to sort of welcome you even more to this event. So Borys, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see people joining from all over the world, so many countries. And today we're going to discuss SEO Rankings tool for local SEO. the tool that, on the one hand, allows you to assess your visibility, your businesses, local businesses' visibility on Google Maps, and also assess how well your local digital marketing activities are implemented. And on the other hand, it actually automates some of those activities, which Max is going to discuss in detail. As for me, why I'm here is for two purposes. One is to help Max and Andrew explain some of the aspects of the tool in more depth, right? And second, I actually want to learn your feedback on our tool and more generally, your expectations of a tool like this. So feel free to post your thoughts, your comments in the comments section. That's
Great.
all.
Thank you, Boris, for saying that. Just a couple of things. The presentation will last for about 40 minutes. And we will have a dedicated Q&A at the very end. And if you have really good questions, we will stick around for even longer than that. I want to remind everybody that there will be a replay. We're going to share everything send it to your inbox. So right now, just soak it all in. And if you have any questions about our tools, or if you have any requests about features that we need to add on to the tool, please let us know, because this is what this event is about, is helping you make the most of our tools. So I'll be keeping my eye on the chat, and right now I'm giving the floor to Maksym, and I will also be looking at the presentation and taking it all in.
Okay, hi everybody again. My name is Maksym. I'm from the Success team. I'm honored to be here, and this is something I speak from the depth of my heart, because we all know that local marketing, local SEO is a bit different from the general SEO that you guys normally deal with, and it requires a few more enhanced abilities to be able to look for those more local rankings, to track the business listings, to see how exactly you can improve the standing of your client's Google business profile in general. So that's exactly what local marketing is about. And as it's been mentioned by Andrew already, local marketing is quite similar to that rank tracker that you normally find under the project tools right here. And then when you go to the rankings, I apologize for the empty account here. I'm using a local demo account so that we can actually work with these locations more freely, so that we have more capabilities. And we're trying to avoid using any data of an actual company, because again, security and privacy is one of the utmost important things that we cherish here at Ask Ranking. So just to give you a quick overview of what local marketing is about. Local marketing is generally a portfolio of tools that helps you manage the client's local business by connecting their Google Business Profile account to your Ask Ranking account. And through this connection, you can do a variety of things. First things first, you will always have the overview of their location right here in place. You'll see the gist of the information under the Locations tab right here. And you will be able to see what service area they're actually occupying, their current address, phone number, the general average score they have, the number of the business listings, and so much more. And this is all given right here in the overview before we even break down each of those features, each of those areas, where we can get even more details for all of those areas specifically. Now, before we actually dive into the locations, how exactly that works, how exactly you can connect those, let's take a quick look at the overview section here, which is like a dashboard where all of the information that we're able to pull for you guys is actually located, which is an amazing tool for communicating with your client on their current standing in terms of their local SEO and their popularity in general. Then the tool actually includes local rankings with a heat map and the ability to create single points or grids where you can track keywords not only at a specific point, but rather in a specific area. Then we also offer you a local marketing audit tool, which is an amazing addition to managing your client's Google Business Profile and other listings, because here, if there are any outstanding issues, we will be able to track them for you and help you improve them and fix them for your client. Then, of course, since we're pulling most of the data through your client's Google Business Profile, you have a dedicated page for the Google Business Profile details and analytics. And it's all conveniently placed right here under your client's location, where you can give it a quick glance and see how well your client is actually doing right now. Then the business listings part, which is like a universe of its own that I love talking about. It provides you with different kinds of capabilities. There are two types of subscriptions here that provide you with those capabilities that actually work for your client and you can choose from. And finally, we give you an amazing overview of the ratings and of the reviews that your client gets on those business listings. So let's go to the first tab where we have all locations, and this is the main hub, the big brain of controlling all of your clients' Google business profiles and connecting new ones if needed. The way it works is that first things first, I think it's quite straightforward. You need to have your client's Google business profile credentials. You'll be able to click add a connection right here, and then simply go ahead and add their email address to establish that connection. What happens here is that once you establish that connection, we're looking for that Google business profile, and then we're checking all of the data that you have there, and then we're creating a separate segment for you right here, where we are summarizing most of the data that you work with. Now, the second part is the overview. Now, within the overview, you can think of it as a kind of dashboard that you can use for, again, communicating with your client, to having a bird's eye view on your client's current standing, where you can see the local rankings, local marketing audit, and all of the other features that you will get a breakdown of right here under these other sections. But you can actually use the overview here to have a quick glance at how exactly your client is doing. And since you're connecting multiple locations, and we understand that some of you might have not 2 or 3 local clients, but 20 or 30, you really need to have that capability of quickly and conveniently switching between those locations. So you have that ability right here, and you can just go ahead and switch between different clients of yours to get a glance look at that data right away. Now,
I probably want to add something here. I guess it's important to note that for now, in order to connect a location, it is necessary to connect your Google business profile, or the Google business profile of your customer that allowed you to manage this profile, right? So there's no way to avoid connecting a profile for now, but there's a trade-off. Since you're connecting the profile and not filling forms, you don't have to fill any kind of forms to fill your location's correct information, right? So once we connect your GBP, we create a location inside our system with all the data that we pull exactly from there. You can correct it afterwards, but usually your Google business profile is the place where your business data is the most correct.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Borys. Thanks so much for mentioning it. Again, it's all done for the convenience of you having multiple clients, but then being able to connect to their Google business profiles in a single click, because filling out those forms, adding all of those details could be very, very tedious. So this is something we would really like you guys to avoid. And then again, there could be the case where the information on your client's Google business profile is not up to date or it's not correct. And then using our business listing section that we're going to get to in a moment will actually help you correct the data and align it throughout all of the business listings we're able to find for you. So let's take a look at those local rankings now, because it's a pretty big tool with a lot of capabilities here. Now, first things first, you always have the ability to switch between the added locations so that you can quickly switch between the views, between the local rankings. If you're communicating with multiple clients at once, we just do not want you to get confused. And all you need to do is simply select the proper location from the drop-down menu right here. Now, if we scroll below, there are 2 main segments that you can think of this feature as. First, we have this map that represents the points of the local business locations that you've added here. And I'm going to get a bit more in detail about how exactly you can add multiple points and multiple grids within a single location, as you can see it right here. And the second big part of the feature here is, of course, the rankings below. Now, if you've been using AS ranking for some time, you might have noticed that this feature, this graph, and then the table below, it looks quite similar to that of the rankings under the project section right here. And again, it's done specifically for you to be as comfortable using these features without having to relearn everything anew. And basically, it functions in a very similar way. First things first, we have the ability to add the local keywords that we would like to track for that specific location of our local client. And then once we've collected some data and some time, we again will see their average position per keyword, rankings distribution, then overall average position, and then the overall position per tracking point. What specifically a tracking point is, we'll get into more detail in a moment. Now, in order for us to start working with the local rankings here, first, we of course need to designate the keywords that we would like our client to rank locally for. For that, we can simply click into the tracking setup right here, which will forward us to a kind of setup menu where we can designate the specific keywords and the grid points that we would like to track for the client. Now, do not get overwhelmed with this. I know there are lots of buttons and lots of fields to fill out, but it's quite straightforward here. So first things first, all we need to do is specify a zip code right here by adding it into the drop-down menu here. Again, the area that we are going to be looking at can be as big as a city, or it can also be as specific as a zip code. Now, the purpose of using local marketing is to get the rankings as precisely as possible. So this feature could be very functional for small cafes and shops and any kind of customer-facing institutions or shops that even e-commerce businesses have, but they're really dependent on the area where they serve their business and where they offer their goods. So again, if you're thinking about the use case and if local marketing is the tool to go for you, then you need to think of how local and how dependent on the area your client actually is. If they're strictly dependent on, let's say, a specific district within the city or a bunch of streets, or maybe they have very active competitors that are also working locally, then local marketing can definitely be a feature to go for you.
Maksym, I have a quick question here from Esther. Let me just bring it up on the screen. What if your
Sure.
client has multiple locations? Can you show multiple ones?
That's a very interesting question, and frankly speaking, I've been asked it a lot. So for a single location of within local marketing, we can only connect one Google Business profile. So if you're referring to the fact that your client has a bunch of Google Business profiles, then you would need to split them into different locations and then connect those Google Business profiles separately. Let us know if I answer your question there in the chat. Okay. Okay. Moving from here, let's go ahead and just designate a specific zip code. As you can see, we already added a few managed points here just to give you a display of what the final result actually looks like. So we can, just for the sake of the experiment, go ahead and designate the same zip code here, which is 84601. This is going to automatically pull up the location we're looking for. Once you've added it, a single point is going to be added right here to the map so that you can start adjusting it. You can either leave it as a single point or you can create a grid of points here. But before we go ahead and do that, let's just add a kind of label to our tracked location, because it could be the case that while your client functions in a single city, for instance, right, they do their business in a specific city, they are dependent on the area where they do their business. But then again, they have different stores within a single city. So maybe this could also answer your question there, because within the local marketing feature, you can actually designate multiple points here. So again, if your client has multiple Google Business profiles that you would like to track, then you would need to connect those as separate locations. But if your client has a single Google Business profile, but then there are a couple of addresses that you would like to track within that location, you can surely do that right here by adding those so-called tracking points. And let's call it Store 1 and add it to the list. Now the Store 1 location is now added. What we can do from here is first things first, designate if it's going to be a single point or a grid of points. Now, a grid of points and then single points are actually very valuable. Let me just redo this step quickly so that we can see the grid of points here. Let's go with 84601 again. Okay, cool. And score 1. Now, so before we add it to the list, we actually need to designate if it's going to be a single point and then a grid of points. Now, we've added this functionality of the grid of points, or as it's normally called, like it's sometimes called, the heat map, in order for you to be able to cover more area within a specific location. Because this way you can actually see how profitable and how popular your client is within the city, but break down a bit more to different streets and then different locations, smaller locations. Now, in terms of the grid itself, it's fully adjustable. First things first, you can decide how big the grid is going to be right here in the grid parameters. You can go to 5 by 5 and anything up to 15 by 15. Now, of course, there might be some use cases when you actually need to create a grid that big, but sometimes the rule of thumb here is to try to stick with something more optimal, like 5 by 5 or 7 by 7. This way, you will still have the ability to cover a lot of area, but then again, you are not going to be covering the whole of the city, and then you will not be using your tracking limits here. Now, as for the tracking limits, what they are is that you can think of each limit, each unit as a single keyword. And when you add a keyword, which we will do right here in a moment, we then multiply it by the size of the grid. So let's say 1 by 7 by 7, and then in the end, we have a certain number of limits that you have used. So this way, in order for you to spare the limits within local marketing, we recommend sticking with something more optimal. So the grid size, something between 3 by 3 and 7 by 7. But then you also have the ability to designate how big the gaps are in kilometers or in miles if you're from the United States. This way, you can actually designate that each grid point is actually going to have a gap of, let's say, 1 kilometer here. Okay. There it is. And you will still be able to cover the bigger area without exhausting your tracking limits. Now, before we go ahead and save this list, now let's go ahead and see the keywords below. So as you might have already guessed, here you have the ability to add the keywords, the so-called common keywords that will be applicable to all of the tracking points here. Let me just click the Add to List button here. Okay. And if I select this specific grid, you might have noticed that there is another section that appears below. So we have the common keywords at the very top, and then we have the grid-specific keywords. So what this menu actually does is that, let's say you have a single store that has multiple locations within, let's say, a city, right? But then you definitely know that there are keywords that will be more relevant in this grid. Just zoom it out a little. So in this grid than in the one behind it. You can actually select the different grids here. You can switch between them and then designate the grid-specific keywords below that will only be relevant to that specific area. Whereas the keywords at the very top will be relevant to all of the tracked points that you have added here. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please let us know in the chat. I'll be happy to go over it once more, because just understanding how exactly those tracking points work and how you can manage and adjust each of the grids or each of the single points that you create within your menu and then assign specific keywords to them will actually help you see a better breakdown of the rankings, see where your client is more popular, which keywords are winning them in a specific area, and so on and so forth. Right.
I have anything to add here, Max?
Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Borys.
So when we are adding a point and we specify the place where we want to add the point or a grid in that field above. It's not only the zip code that we can enter, but also your district, for example, your city or town, or even a street, depending on the country you're in or the country you're configuring this for.
Thanks so much for pointing that out. You have the full flexibility of adding the selection there, of adding the correct location there. Again, local marketing is a far more advanced way of working with those local businesses than the regular rank tracker is, and we understand that. What we're trying to do here is simply give you the value of actually being able to run local projects with local clients and give them the actual positions that they rank for, help them improve within their given area. And as Borys has mentioned, that area can be as big as a city or as small as a street or a zip code or whatever you have there at hand. Cool. So once we've designated this, once we've created either a single point or a grid of points, we've added the common keywords here at the very top. Again, those are the keywords that are relevant to all of the points that we add here. And then we designate the grid-specific points. These are the grid-specific keywords. These are the keywords that will only be relevant to each of these separately created entities. We can go ahead and just finish the setup. I'm going to click cancel here and then go back to our local rankings view where we actually have all of the results right here below. Again, if you've been with SE ranking long enough, you already know that we do not provide you with the rankings. We're simply able to collect the positions of 4 specific keywords for you once those keywords are added to the project. So once you've added those keywords, once you've added those specific grid points, and give it in some time, let's say a few days, you will actually start seeing weekly rankings that we record for you right here in these columns below. And yes, again, I just said that we record those rankings on a weekly basis. There is no capability to do it on a daily basis. But again, if we talk about the local business, again, everything is a bit slower there. So weekly rankings should be more than sufficient for you to see how well your client is doing in terms of their popularity or keyword.
I got another question from our viewers from Johannes. Let me just bring it up on the screen. How do you ensure the accuracy of local keyword rankings, especially at a granular street level scale?
This is actually a very, very good question. So, Borys, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way we approach tracking the positions and finding the data for those weekly checks that we provide you with here is that we actually have a system built in that way that our crawlers pretends to be an actual person searching for a specific keyword within a specific area. Again, this is the area you designated here in the tracking point. And this is exactly how we get the data. So we're just simulating an actual person researching them within the set area. And that's exactly how we can speak for the accuracy of our rankings because we're pretending to be an actual person there. Whereas, do you have anything to add there, or what do you think about what I've just said now?
Yes, that's correct. We pretend to be a human being trying to search for things exactly at those places that we specify here. And when the system gets those results from Google Maps, it saves them and analyzes them.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any more, feel free to pop them right there in the chat. Cool. So let's just take a quick final look at the graph here. So the other thing that you can actually do is, again, these are the averages, and they might not be as visible as one might want, but you can actually unfold the area here. And then if this is a grid point, so again, we created a grid, let's say 3 by 3, 5 by 5, or even 15 by 15, if this is something that works for you. We can actually see each of those grid points and how exactly you rank within them. And then we see this dynamics column that gives us the general trend between this week's data and last week's data. And we see if we've jumped by a bunch of positions, dropped down in the SERPs, or actually haven't changed at all. So this is exactly about that granularity that we're trying to bring to you when working with local clients. You have so much visibility now and you can actually track as much of an area as you actually need. Just to give you an example, so some of you might have a question like, what if I want to check if that position is correct for that specific area? Do I have that ability? As a matter of fact, you do. Because as those of you who are a bit more advanced in the asset ranking in general, especially in the rankings tool right here, you know that within that section, when you click into any of the positions that we've recorded for you, you're actually forwarded to a menu similar to this one, where you have the live results section, and then the local SERP competitors. Now, what these sections do for you is that with the live results, if you click the view button here, you will actually be forwarded to the local pack results, and you will see where exactly your client is ranking today. But then for the local SERP competitors, and this is a great feature for you to use if you're trying to find out who is competing against your client within that local pack, you can actually be forwarded to, again, a set of local pack results, and you will see who is ranking for that keyword in general. I believe I have an example for you here. Let me just switch to the view. Andrew, could you please let me know if you can see it on the screen so that I
Yeah,
can be
we can
sure that
see it, and I
everybody.
just want to since you're talking about this, I just want to bring up a question on the screen specifically about this, about how to do a competitive analysis with regard to local competitors. So yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for talking about this.
right. Yeah. So I think this should answer that question. So if you're looking for those local competitors, this is the place to go for you. Again, all you need to do is simply select a given ranking position that we've recorded for you, click into that click into that number here, and then go to the local SERP competitors. And the view you should be forwarded to is something similar to this one, where you can identify those competitors, see which position your client is currently taking, and then just take your SEO marketing plan going forward. Okay, so
I'm going to add something here, Max. So I guess it's important to say that this local rank tracker of ours was engineered in a way that the table tracker, the thing below, is fully compatible with the map. I mean, the data is the same. It's just the different representation of the same data. And you, as a result, if you don't want to work with the map, you can work with the table only, the classic way. Yes. So unlike other tools out there, we have one tool that unites this data, which is, I believe, more convenient.
yeah, this is a very good point. Again, at your disposal, you have either the map at the very top that is very interactive, where you can actually see those rankings, those positions within the grid that you've created, and how exactly you rank for the averages for your keywords. Or you might as well resort to the table below, where you will see that breakdown in a more familiar Excel-like format. And by the way, a quick pro tip here, you just like with the rankings, with the regular project rankings, you also have filters here. You might as well just filter down to a specific tracking point. You can select a specific keyword. Maybe you're looking for all the keywords within this tracking point that have dropped, jumped, and so on and so forth. So this should actually simplify the way you work with that data a little more.
I want to jump in with another question about the limits, the account limits, because so let's just address this situation with the limits, because you said that there's a limit on the map grid points, so that you don't exhaust your limits. Is there a monthly limit with regard to the grid point searches per month? So let's just give the good people more information about this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. I was going to get it in the business listings, but I think it's a very good time to actually discuss the limits. and the subscription options that you have on within the local marketing package. Now, there are two types of subscriptions we offer to our clients. That would be a light subscription and then a plus subscription. And Andrew, while I'm talking about this, could you quickly check our knowledge base for the article that explains the difference there, and maybe
On
share it in the chat? Thank you so much. So in terms of the limits themselves, the tracking points that you get per location, if you go with the light location, you will have 250 keywords per location. And then with the plus location, you will actually top up to 500 keywords that you can use. Now, just so that there is no misunderstanding here, the keywords that you get per location, they are not strictly bound to that location. So you simply have the overall limit. So let's say you've added one light location and then one plus location. Let me just go back to this view here. The one light location and one plus location, and these are all of the locations that you've purchased. So overall, you should have 750 tracking points that you can use for both not for both locations, but you can share between the two locations. So it's not like the light location and you can only use 250 keywords, and then for the plus, only the 500. No, you can actually share those keyword tracking points. So for those of you who have for some cases where you have a local client that you do not need, let's say 250 keywords and you only need 50, but then there is another client that needs an extra 200 keywords, right? You can just share those limits between those locations without any limitation there. Right. Just to learn more about this and to get a better breakdown of what other capabilities those different subscription plans provide you with, please check out the article that Andrew should be sharing in the chat right now. It's quite informative. It provides you with an overview of those subscriptions, and then you can decide which one works best for you. Okay. So moving forward, we have local marketing audit. It's a smaller feature. At this time, we haven't had any updates in it yet, but we're planning on some improvements in the future. Just so you know, what local marketing audit does for you is similar to the website audit, to the on-page SEO checker, where you get an analysis of your client's Google business profile by these three parameters, which are Google business profile, business listings, and reviews. And then if there's anything missing in the Google business profile, you will actually see it right here. You'll be able to click into it to get more information on what's missing, and then you can go ahead and fix it there. The same applies to the business listings. So for instance, if your company is not yet listed in certain directories that we offer, you will get a notification like that here. You will see which business listings your client is missing from specifically, and you will be able to add them later on. And just in a moment, I'm going to show you how to do it quite quickly using business listings feature without having to do it manually that you normally do. So the next thing that is quite big here is the Google business profile. And there are a couple of use cases that you can think of this feature. Use case number one, you simply want to see the analytics, right? The analytics that you're so used to on Google business profile that include the views, searches by keyword, overall searches, website visits, and everything else that just helps you understand if your client is doing well or not that well. But apart from that, we've actually added a new capability, which is called Google Business Profile Posts, where you have the ability to create posts directly from SEO ranking, and then they will be logged into your client's Google Business Profile. It's kind of a big thing around here because this just simplifies the way you work with those posts. You do not actually need to manage them directly through your client's Google business profile. You have the ability to switch between multiple clients. So again, if you have a schedule where you need to create multiple posts for different clients, you can simply switch between those locations and then click New Post right here. From this window, you can create either an update or an offer. You can add an image. You can add the event details. If you click the add a button option right here, you can create a custom action button there, just as you normally do in Google Business Profile. And finally, you can go ahead and schedule those posts. So you can use it as a scheduling tool, not only a tool to create those posts directly the moment when you enter the tool. So again, it's just for your convenience so that you can have everything right here at hand.
And even more than that, Max, can we get back to the screen with a list?
Absolutely. Just give me a moment here. Yeah, that's quick. Okay.
Yeah, so this tool also serves as a kind of monitor because it detects the posts that were possibly created by a third party or by someone directly through Google's UI, right? So this list is going to show such posts created not from SE ranking as posts from a third party, from Google. So here, for example, the posts that are shown on the list are all created from within Google.
Yeah, that's great. That's another management tool to your toolbox, because first things first, you can schedule the posts directly from here. Secondly, if your clients do a bit of GBP posting on their end, you will actually see what posts they've created, what kind of event that is, and you will be able to manage it if needed. And by the way, just a quick disclaimer, I think I should have done it at the very beginning. We're using a demo location here, just owned by that button. So some of the actions here might not be available, but when you actually do a GBP post for your client, or there is a new post that's being posted directly through their Google Business Profile, these action buttons should actually be available for use at any time. And by the way, we do daily checks here. So whenever something changes on a daily basis, we will be able to record that for you.
We have a question from the chat about this section. You schedule event posts as well? I saw it in the overview, but not when you click on new posts.
So yeah, in order for you to schedule, let's go here. So when you create a new post here, you should be able to toggle the schedule the post option. Again, it's optional, so it's hidden away. And maybe, Borys, I think maybe we should highlight it a bit more so that it's quite obvious to the eye that we have the ability to schedule those posts. But anyway, yes, you have that ability directly from creating a post or a new offer. You toggle this option on, then you set it up on a specific date, time, and even a specific time zone if you're working with international clients that are not in your time zone specifically. And once the post is
the question was actually about the events type of post. We currently don't have that type yet in the system, but it's in the plans. Yes, we do know that such a type of post exists, and it just was of lower priority than these two types when we this.
Yeah, that's exactly why we have Borys here. Again, if you have any feedback or if you see any hidden details there or features that you think that would be very valuable, feel free to just drop them there in the chat. Borys is just here to make sure that the feature is as usable for you as possible and that it actually simplifies the way you work with that data. Okay, so let's go ahead to the business listing section, which is a big deal because we've recently introduced business listings management that is much more advanced than the one that we used to offer. We pride ourselves on it. We've put a lot of work in it, and especially Borys and his team, they've been working like honeybees all this time just to bring you this functionality. And what I mean by this functionality is that we've recently enlarged the number of directories that you can actually monitor within SE ranking. We've added the ability to synchronize the location data, the Google Business Profile data that you add to SE ranking, and then with all of those tracked directories below. So let me just show you how it's done. So first things first, if we take a look at this location, let's go with the other demo location here, because this one is actually in the light plan. So in the light plan, you get access to up to 30 directories that we can monitor. And owing to the screen, you can actually see which ones we have been synced, which ones are listed. You'll see that there are some errors that pop up here because we've identified that the information there on Foursquare, for instance, is different from that of the information that we have on asset ranking. Now, if we scroll below, we will see that there is an option to see more of those, and it comes with the plus version of the locations. And let me just show you what it looks like. So let's go to focused area here. We have a full list of those directories where you can monitor up to 100 different business listing websites for your client. Now, the way it works is that, again, once you connect your client's Google business profile to asset ranking, we're taking their core information there, their business name, their location, etc. And then we're checking them against all of these directories to see if they're actually listed there already. Now, if they're listed here in the presence column, you will actually see the listed word. Now, for those that are not listed, you will see not listed. Now, for some of them, if they are not listed, what we will be doing here is that we will be automatically pushing the data that we have here on asset ranking into that business listing website and creating a listing for your client in that directory. So this business listing functionality is just simplifies the way you work with your client's presence on those websites. You do not actually need to go to those websites to create the listings there. You can actually push all of the data directly through here, and the listing is going to be created automatically there. Now, Borys, do you think you have anything to add here? Just let me know if I'm missing anything.
Yes. So I want to note that, of course, we don't take data directly from GBP and start pushing it everywhere in those directories, right? Once we create a location here in our system, yes, we do pull data from GBP, but then if it's maybe it's not correct entirely, so you can correct it. So let's open a allocation profile to illustrate this. Your source of truth about your location, your source of truth for the business data is the profile of your location, which you can actually edit. And once you corrected everything there, you're able to start syncing this business data to the directories that the system works with.
Right. So as Borys mentioned, you have full control over the data that we see here. So let's say your client's address has changed, but your client is already listed on 54 different websites with that old out-of-date address. What you can actually do here is just go ahead into the location specifically, click the three-dot menu, click Edit Location Info, and then this is where you will see what data we are pushing, and you will be able to edit it. Once you do that, after the next sync, we will try to push the data there, and the information will be automatically updated on that business listing.
Yeah, another thing to add. So when we talk about 100+ directories that we can sync business data to, right? We're talking about the worldwide level. So more than 100 directories all over the world, which means that if we work within a particular country, the number will be smaller, right? So the greatest, I think, is for the USA, where we can sync to up to 70 directories, I guess. So that's what we mean when we say 100+.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the question on the screen that was just specifically with regard to this. I think you already mentioned it, but just in case you didn't, let's just look at it again. How does the tool synchronize business information across different directories, and what measures are in place to prevent and correct discrepancies? So I think it basically covered this information.
As it's been mentioned, you have the full control over the data that we see here. As long as the data is correct, we're not correct, but as long as the data aligns with what you would like to see there, and you can align that data by clicking the three-dot menu here next to a specific location, and then clicking Edit Location Info. Once you've added out all of the unnecessary information, you've updated the address or whatever is actually missing on those listing websites, we will automatically push the data there. So again, this is your management hub. It just simplifies the way you work with all of those websites. You have full control over the data you would like to see there. Just make sure that the profile here is up to date. Okay, cool. So again, guys, I understand that you might have some other questions about business listings. Feel free to leave them right here in the chat section, and we'll get to them as quickly as possible. Now, I think that's pretty much it in terms of business listings, apart from one thing that I would like to show you. So when we open a specific location here, we go to the business listings section, right? And then we have this error section where it shows you what specifically mismatches with the information that we have in your asset ranking profile through that added info button that I just showed you. You can click this gear icon, sorry, not the gear icon, but the item card icon next to Yelp, for instance, and you will be able to compare the listing that the information that you've added to asset ranking to the one that we've identified on the Yelp's listing for your client. And all you need to do is simply make sure that the data here is correct. If it is correct, the update is going to be pushed in automatically. Right.
Before we move
So,
on, we have a
Yeah.
question about the auto sync feature. So let's
mhm,
bring it up on the screen. How long will it take to sync my business info to listings once I clicked auto sync? Thank you for the
right.
question, Mimi.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. It's actually a great point that the great point to mention. Boris, do you think you would like to take it from here, just to
Yes,
answer with
definitely.
more details?
Yes. Uh, it can take actually up to a month to sync your correct business data, NAP, to a directory. Uh, because it depends on which directory, right? Because some of the directories work through APIs, and we can send data to them directly, like in a programmatic way, right? Which means they will sync it quite soon, like a couple of days, a week maybe. They have their review process, of course. Uh, the other way, and the other like portion of directories is those that work through file submission. So we need to submit files to them, files with new data, which they are going to review and possibly apply to their databases, and then tell us like we have done the operation. What we tell you then, we tell you on this UI of this business listing section, we tell you that we have submitted the data to those directories just because they work through file submission. So yes, most of them will sync in a couple of days or up to a week, and some will sync up to a month. I mean, it will take them up to a month.
Right. So it depends. As Boris has mentioned, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. We're doing our best to pull that data, to push that data into those websites. But again, it's not always up to us how fast that actually is done, because those websites might not have a very automated way of updating the data on their end. So again, just to identify the difference between those that are synced automatically, what Boris said through APIs, for instance, and those that require a manual submission on our end, you can actually see if the location is synced or it's submitted. So with the submitted ones, it might take a bit longer for that data to appear there. Okay. Nice. And the last thing before we move on to the reviews, the final section here, there is this auto sync option at the very top. And for everything to work correctly, make sure to have it on. Again, this is a demo location. I do not have the toggle enabled at this time, but for you, you should be able to toggle it on. And this way we will be able to always check the information in those business listings against your asset ranking business profile, and then make the necessary adjustments. Finally, the reviews. And I personally love this section a lot because it provides you with a couple of use cases and a couple of capabilities that can prove very useful, especially for small businesses. First things first, you will see the full list of the reviews that we've been able to scrap from the business listings connected to this location. Now, the reviews will be listed right here. You will see the rating, the source, the date, the review itself. You can expand it, you can show less if needed, and of course, the language in general. Now, for those Google business reviews, we actually have one extra capability. When a new Google review is posted right here, then in the status column, instead of the view button, you might actually see the reply button. And by clicking that reply button, you will be able to reply to their review directly through SEO ranking without having to go to your client's Google business profile to reply there. Moving forward, we have the analytics, which is quite straightforward. You will see the reviews and their data synced here. You will see how well your client ranks on the average, not the ranks, but is rated on the average, the number of the reviews, the changes, and the seasonality, and so much more data that can be quite helpful for your local clients to just improve the way they work with clients. And finally, a section that I personally enjoy a lot is the insights. So what we do here is actually we take all of the reviews that you have there, and then we find a keyword that could describe the whole of the review. For instance, the review was about the food, the pasta, the order, the people, the experience, etc. And then we sum it up and give you the average score for that. So using this section, you can actually see, and you can just select specific keywords and the reviews will appear right here to the right. You can actually see which keyword is associated with a specific score. This way, if we find a score as low as 2, for instance, we will see that most of the customer service reviews, they actually scored 2. So you might just mention that to your client and they can just start working on improving their customer service. Right. Yeah. So again, I know this is a lot of information. I hope most of you, or at least some of you, have stuck around with me so that we can cover all of it. That's a lot of functionality. We've had a bunch of updates here that are quite major, and I really hope that this has been helpful. So I think it's time for me to give the floor to you, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm already bringing up a question on the screen just to not spend too much time on this. So a question from Keith. Can you pull data from the local tool into the reporting features, for example, the agency pack or into Looker Studio?
This is actually a very good question. Borys, do we have any kind of integrations between the local marketing feature and our, let's say, Looker Studio? Can we report in that data? Do you happen to have any knowledge there?
Mhm. As for Looker Studio, not yet. Yes, not yet. But as for reporting, the usual reporting in SE ranking, yes, we have a number of sections for the report builder tool. I mean, in the agency pack, where you can present some of the data, or most, or even all of the data from the local marketing tool. You can check them out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's available in the report builder, but we'll definitely consider adding it to other areas of the tool. We have sort of a comment. So one person added a location. They had 0 of 1. They added a location. They deleted it, and now they can't access it anymore. So I'm assuming it's a bug, and somebody in the chat already sort of suggested a way to rectify the situation. No comments here, right, guys?
I think I do have a comment, so let me just make sure that I understand the use case there correctly. So there was a location added in local marketing and then it was removed, but the location limit hasn't been reset. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, I think it's quite expected because the locations are actually reset on a monthly basis. So for instance, if you had 10 locations and then you deleted one of those, that location will only become available to you with your renewal date. And the renewal date for the monthly subscriptions is quite straightforward. You renew on April the 12th, on April the 12th next month, so that would be your renewal date. For the annual subscriptions, the principle is the same. It's the date of the purchase of your subscription. So for instance, if last year you purchased your subscription in on April the 12th, then every 12th of the month, this is your renewal date for those add-ons. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, we already got a confirmation. Thank you to you, Maksym, for taking that question. A question about the auto sync feature. I'm guessing. Let me bring it up on the screen. Can this feature push a listing to a paid business listing site?
This is a good question. I think, Borys, maybe it'd be better if you took it from here.
As far as I remember, some of the directories we work with are actually paid, but since we work with them, they allow us to sync data to them. But then we do not work with all the directories possible, because there are hundreds or maybe thousands of business directories all over the world, and we only work with the most popular ones, right? So probably the directory, the particular directory that you mean here could be absent from the list. But if you tell us what the directories you want, then we could consider them, definitely.
This is already a question from Keith. So yes, you already answered another question. So we have the suggest directory feature within the business listings, where you can just let us know what is missing for you, and we'll collect these sort of votes or whatever you call it. And then once we have enough labor power to take care of this, we'll do it for sure. Thank you, Keith. Let's see what else we have. Do you have? Let me just bring it up on the screen. Do you have AI integration for replying to reviews?
So definitely, we do not have it yet, but we do know that there's a need for that, and it is, I guess, it's definitely somewhere downstream of our development. We just need to gather more feedback to understand what to implement first.
Got it. Another question is the keywords that you find in review insights, do they have to be a tracked keyword, or does a ranking system work out what the keyword is?
I
With
believe the
regards to
S ranking
emails.
system actually works it out itself. Is that correct, Borys? So we're just trying to match the reviews there.
That section actually breaks review texts into phrases that you can find in those review texts, and juxtaposes like those phrases against review ratings. Those are not tracked keywords. So the keyword term is kind of confusing here.
And if this is the last question, you guys, this is the last chance to ask another question. I'm going to throw the last one that we have right now on the screen. If you sync a business directory, then later delete the location from its ranking, will your listing on the directory stay?
Let me address that one. Yes, it's going to stay. You just won't be syncing it any longer, right? So after a while, if you disconnect the location, the business data that you have previously synced to that directory may degrade, because other parties might want to override to sync their different data to those listings, right? So the question is, it does not disappear. The answer is.
If you guys have any other questions, reach out to our support team, and we will continue this conversation there. Right now, we're going to sort of draw the curtains on this event, and I'll do the couple of outro slides and invite you to join our platform, sign up for a free trial, an expanded free trial where you will have a lot more access with a lot more minutes to our tools, and we'll be able to play around, figure out how it works for you, how to operate it best. And if you're going to be doing that, I encourage you to use your business email. That way we will know that you're a business, and it will help us sort of provide you with the right information to guide your process and get you through the free trial without wasting your time. So be sure to consider leaving your business email, and that way you'll have even more access to a lot more features with a lot more limits if you do that for us. And everybody who is on a trial of Vista Ranking, a free trial, or is subscribed, has a plan, a paid subscription, you already have access to any course within our academy. The Vista Ranking Academy we have a growing list of courses there. So make sure to check that out. And we specifically have a course that shows you all the ropes of Vista Ranking, helps you hit the ground running with our tools. So be sure to check that out. We go through every one of our tools, not as extensively as here, but it's enough to get you sort of started quick quickly within your free trial. On your commute, if you have any time to listen to SEO, not just specifically with regard to SEO ranking, but with regard to the development of digital marketing and SEO, we have regular talks with digital marketing experts and SEOs in the framework of our Do Follow podcast, hosted by yours truly. So be sure to check that out on your commute or walking the dog, or whenever you feel like is the best time to listen to that. And also, besides these things that I just mentioned, we post a lot of activities on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We have loads of videos on YouTube, including this one, and you can follow us on X as well. So that is what I wanted to thank everybody for your questions. I want to thank our team from Borys and Maksym for letting us know what the tool is about, being open to discussion. And yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining, taking the time to be here, and wishing everybody a successful SEO, local SEO in this regard. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.